The Horn of Africa, a land of windswept deserts, sparkling coasts, and endless history. But this land carries a story of division and ambition. A story of how the Somali people went from ancient sultanates to dreaming of one great nation. This is the story of Greater Somalia, how it rose, fell, and whether it could ever rise again. Before Europeans arrived, there was no single country called Somalia. Somali lands were home to clans and sultanates, each ruling its own people and territory. The Ajuran Sultanate controlled much of southern Somalia, and the Ogaden, famous for its irrigation and trade. The Warsangali Sultanate on the northeast coast was a maritime power and trading state. The Geledi Sultanate near Afguyi resisted invaders and controlled trade routes. Mogadishu, Zayla, and Berbera thrived as trading ports. But there was no single flag or central government. Somalis shared language, culture, and Islam, but lived in separate regions. In the early 20th century, the struggle for Somali unity faced numerous challenges. The colonial powers had established strong control over the region, making it difficult for Somali leaders to mobilize their people. Despite these obstacles, the dream of a united Somalia persisted. Leaders like Sayyid Muhammad Abdullah Hassan, also known as the Mad Mullah, led resistance movements against the British and Italians. His dervish state, though ultimately defeated, became a symbol of Somali resistance and unity. In the late 1800s, European powers arrived during the scramble for Africa. They divided Somali lands into 5 territories: British Somaliland in the north, Italian Somaliland in the south, French Somaliland, which is today's Djibouti, the Ogaden, given to Ethiopia, and the Northern Frontier District in Kenya. For the first time, Somalis realized that foreigners had split their nation apart. This sparked the dream of unity, a dream later known as Somaliwane, or Greater Somalia. In 1960, a historic moment arrived. British Somaliland and Italian Somaliland gained independence and united, forming the Somali Republic. A new flag was raised, with a blue background for the UN support of independence and a white 5-pointed star for the 5 Somali territories. To Somalis, the flag was a promise. One day, all Somalis will unite under the star. The dream of Greater Somalia was alive. Somalia's young leaders dreamed of uniting all Somalis. They backed rebellions in neighboring countries. In Kenya, the Shifta War saw Somali fighters try to join Somalia. In Ethiopia, nationalists eyed the Ogaden Desert, hoping for unity. The dream peaked with the Ogaden War in the late 1970s. Somali troops advanced, but history turned. Ethiopia got Soviet and Cuban support. Somali forces retreated, and the dream faded. After gaining independence, the Somali Republic faced numerous internal and external challenges. The new government had to navigate clan rivalries, economic difficulties, and the pressures of Cold War geopolitics. Despite these challenges, the 1960s and 70s saw significant progress in education, infrastructure, and national identity. However, the dream of Greater Somalia continued to influence the country's foreign policy, leading to conflicts with neighboring countries. The Ogaden War defeat devastated Somalia. By 1991, the government collapsed, plunging Somalia into civil war. The country fractured, Somaliland declared independence, Puntland became autonomous, and conflict raged in the south. The dream of Greater Somalia faded. Yet, the Somali diaspora supports the nation's survival and hope for the future. Today, the Horn of Africa map is much as it was in colonial times. Djibouti is independent, Ethiopia holds the Ogaden, and Kenya's NFD remains Kenyan. Somaliland acts as a separate country. The 5-pointed star still waves, but now it is a memory of a lost dream. Yet, Somali unity and pride remain strong, lighting the way for future generations. But here's the big question. Can Somalia unite again in the future? A Greater Somalia, taking land from neighbors, is almost impossible today. African Union law keeps colonial borders to avoid new wars. Ethiopia, Kenya, and Djibouti would resist any change. But a united Somalia within its current borders is possible. End the civil conflict and defeat al-Shabaab, boost the economy to give people jobs and hope, and reconcile with Somaliland and Puntland to cooperate or reunite. If Somalia stabilizes and grows strong, it can rise again as a leader of the Horn of Africa, not by war, but through peace, culture, and trade. The dream of Greater Somalia may belong to history, but the spirit of the Somali people is still alive. If unity and peace return, a new Somali story can begin. One that shines beyond borders.